Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy here. In this video, we're going to give you an overview of all things related to a campaign, okay? Three major parts to this video. First is, what is a campaign? How does it work? What are the settings that we can implement? Second is, what are all of the different actions that we can do within a campaign, all right? And then finally, how do we put people in to a campaign, okay? So let's dive into it. As you can see, I'm here on the marketing tab and I'm here in campaigns. Now let's go over here to the green button that says create a new campaign. And I'm going to name this example, the example campaign, okay? So first thing when we come in here is we want to check out the campaign configuration, all right? Now let's look at all of these options that we have, okay? So window. The window means let's toggle it open or toggle it on. Window just means, okay, do we want the campaign to run, only during business hours, basically is going to be the most popular use of this, okay? So the condition is, when the time is, during the week from 8 to 5, those are the only times that I want the campaign to run, okay? Now we can set it to if, and what that will do is say, for example, say a lead comes in at 5:01 p.m. Okay, as you can see here, we have it set to 5 o'clock to end that window. If a lead comes in at 5:01, it's just going to ignore the lead altogether. Okay, so I think when is going to be the most common. And if someone were to come in at 5:01, then they would just be pushed to the following day. Okay, so that is what a window does. Let's go to users. So if you have multiple users, okay, you can assign those in here. Now, what happens is if you have multiple, leads are then dispersed in a round robin fashion. Okay, so, for example, user A gets the first lead, user B gets the second one, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you have multiple Twilio numbers, that's going to be helpful so that the voicemail drops and such things will come from the user who the lead was actually dispersed to. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next campaign. So let's say someone goes all the way through this campaign and they don't respond. Okay, well, what do you do with them then? All right, you can actually move them into another campaign after that. So maybe someone comes through your entire campaign and they don't respond, but you still want to nurture them long term. Okay, maybe it's an email sequence of one email per month, right? You can set up a campaign like that. That's just an example. So that's what a next campaign is. Okay, all right, the from address is going to be, you can assign the from email. When you send emails out, you can assign which email those come from and what the name will look like when people receive that email. If you do leave this blank, it will just default to the user that the email is coming from. Okay, so that's that. Lead value. You can assign values to any lead that comes through this campaign. All right, very simple. Tags. You can add a tag to anyone who comes through this campaign. Now, allow multiple means, can someone come through this campaign more than once, right? So maybe you're running a promotion, right? And you don't want to give that person the promotion twice or something like that, right? That's what that is going to do. Okay. Stop on response is, you're probably going to want to have that on all the time. When someone responds, you don't want to have them getting the next sequence of automated messages when they've already responded to what you're trying to get them to do, right? So I would leave that on. All right. Now, event start date. Okay, this is going to be, okay, so if you have an event, say a week from now, you can select that date and the actual time as well. And I'll show you in a little bit when we dive into the campaign of, we can set up actions to happen, say 2 days before that start date and things like that. Okay, so that's what we'll get into. So let's save this. So we've got our configuration all set up. All right, so that's the campaign. Now let's talk about all of the different actions that we can do, or events, we call them here in Attract ROI, in our campaign. So let's add an event. Let's click this button. So obviously we can set up to send a text. Okay, we can set up a template. There's another video on how to set up templates. Okay, we can assign custom values. So if you want to address the person by their first name right off the bat, or you could say, hey, whatever their name is. You can do all these things in there. There's tons of things that you can do in that. All right, so we can add a text. We can do a Facebook Messenger. Now, the thing with Facebook Messenger, though, is the lead must first message the Facebook business page. Okay, they have to initiate the conversation, and then we can add these. Okay, all right, so that's that one. Let's add an email now. So in an email, very similar to a text, we have templates that we can set up for emails. You've got the subject, you've got the name of the email there. We can assign that, and then here's your text, and very straightforward. Okay, we can send a test down here as well if you want to check it out before you actually send it out. We can do that down there. Okay, now let's do a call next. Okay, so calls are interesting. Calls are going to be, and we have one set up in the seller home value campaign. This is the first thing that happens, right? Is a call is going to get you that speed of response. So as soon as someone, this would likely be probably the first step in a campaign. Say someone fills out the form, a lead comes through, we can set up a call, and what's going to happen is the system, Attract ROI, will call you, and the whisper message you can set up to say, hey, you have a new lead. You can even assign the tags here. You have a new lead, Jimmy just came through. Press 1 to connect, or whatever it is. So you'll get a phone call. You'll hear this whisper message. Hey, you have a new lead. You can assign anything in here. Probably a good idea to put the name of which campaign they're coming through. Hey, you have a new lead. Press 1 to connect. As soon as you press 1, it will now call them, and if they answer, it will bridge the call. Okay, how cool is that? All right, now let's talk about these. So call timeout. Or let's talk about the voicemail detect first. Okay, we can actually read this. I want to read this to you guys. Call will patch instantly. We will not listen to see if the voicemail picked up on the lead side. This means that the campaign will be marked as replied even if the voicemail picked up. Meaning, honestly, I would recommend to push this on and actually disable this, and I would use a call timeout, which means hang up after, say, 15 or 20 seconds, whatever, however long you want that to be. So if it's ring 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 and nobody's picking up, we want it to just hang up after 20 seconds, let's say. All right, now custom time, we can set up again, just like the window from the campaign configuration, we can set up that here as well. Okay, so that is the call. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so voicemail. So voicemail drops are pretty cool. We can upload an MP3 file. It's got to be an MP3 file. Okay, and this voicemail that you drop, what happens is their phone will buzz, that they just got a new voicemail, but they won't get the notification that it rang. Okay, it might ring for a quick second, but they won't be able to pick it up. All right, so it's just a voicemail drop. They're just gonna get the voicemail. Okay, and we can set up the custom time of the window of when to drop that as well. But that's a pretty cool feature to just drop the voicemail in there without having the call. All right, now let's go to the next one. The next one is a wait period. So these are going to be good these are going to be used for the time in between. If you have a long period of time between events in your campaign, that's where you'll set this up. So say you have a voicemail going out at X time, and you don't want to have anything happen for 3 days. Okay, so we'll change this to days. We'll say wait 3 days, and then we can resume at 9 a.m. on that third day, and we'll hit save. And then now nothing is going to happen for 3 days, and then we can add our next event. All right, so let's go there. Let's go to the next event. Let's do the manual call first. So a manual call, what that's going to do is it's going to add them to the manual call list, which is actually here under contacts and manual actions. Okay, so if you know what a power dialer is, that's what this is for all intents and purposes. You would come in here, click the play button, and just go through one call after the other. Okay, so that's what that is. Now let's go back to campaigns. Let's go back to our example, and we'll come down here. Let's do the next one. The next one is the manual SMS. So same concept as the manual call, but now it's just a manual text message. Okay, now let's talk about webhooks. Okay, webhooks are going to give you the ability to basically take information from one place and send it somewhere else. Okay, so you would take the information from this URL, and then you can send it somewhere else. Okay, finally, we'll do the last one here, which is add a task. Okay, this is very simple. We'll add the task, what description, and then you can assign a due date for that task to be completed as well. All right, very good. Okay, now let's talk about timing. Okay, you see that on the right here we say after 0 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about this part right here. If we do immediately, let's talk about immediately versus after 0 minutes. Okay, if we set it to immediately, what that means is it's going to ignore the window that we may have set. All right, and it will say it's the call. Okay, if they submit a form and come through as a lead at midnight, you'll get a call at midnight to connect the call right there. That would be what immediately would be. Okay, after 0 minutes would mean when that window is open, it will happen immediately when the window is open. Okay, so that's the difference there. All right, now before, so this is where that event start date comes in here. You remember in here configuration, the event start date. So what we can do here is say before, let's say 2 days before. If I want this text to go out 2 days before the event, then that's how we can do that. So that's what before means. Now, say we have one going out, after zero minutes, okay? Or let's change this to this one's going out after 3 minutes, and this one's going out after 2 minutes, okay? Well, how does that work? Well, what happens is the 2 minutes is based on the previous event. Okay, so the 3 minutes is going to happen 3 minutes after they've filled out the form, in this case, since it's the first one. And then this messenger will go out 2 minutes after that text, okay? Not 2 minutes after they filled out the form, not from the beginning of the campaign. It's based on the previous event, okay? So that's very important to understand, all right? Now, let's go to, so we've got everything involved with the campaign done. So let's check out the actual campaign here. So if we come into where we see all of the campaigns, we can see each individual and how far they've gone through the campaign. If you want to look at that by coming in here and clicking on the total in the total column, if we click on this blue number right here, it will take us into here. Now I don't have any leads in this example right now, but what will happen is you'll see all of the contacts that are in that campaign. You'll see when they started, what's their status, have they responded or not, which user are they assigned to, when's the next event that they're going to get hit with, and then progress, how many steps have they gone through. You can see all of that, okay? So that's pretty cool. Now, finally, how do we get someone in to a campaign? To do that, we have to set up a trigger, okay? So we'll come in here. Let's create a new basic rule up here in the top right. Let's call this the example trigger. We won't put it in a folder. We'll just save that. And what I want to do is say when a form is submitted, okay? So when a form is submitted, and what you'll do is you'll have a form, and maybe you have that on a landing page, or maybe it's a Facebook lead ad or something. We'll have that form submitted. We want to add the filter because without the filter, it'll just be any form submitted anywhere. Okay, so we'll select the actual form that we want to use, and then the action is going to be add them to a campaign. And obviously we want to select the actual campaign that we want to add them to. Okay, and just make sure finally up here where it says draft, we want to activate this trigger. Otherwise, you'll get those leads, but they won't actually go into the campaign. All right, so that's everything there. I hope that's helpful. Have some fun with it, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Ciao.